Do you identify as disabled, and how do you feel about that identity?
I personally don't identify as disabled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always know if that word particularly applies to me or even if it's a good word, but I know that I have a different brain, so maybe I'm differently abled, I'd say.
At first, I feel very panic. I feel really embarrassed because of my diagnosis. But later on, I feel like I should embrace my true self. So I now learn to accept my identity. Yeah, it's part of me.
I do identify as disabled. I find disabled and disability a really neutral word. It's just an explainer word. It's not negative or positive.
I don't know, because it's like, for me, I always saw like a disability as something physical and something that you could see, and like, I don't know, someone would be in a wheelchair, or like someone, I don't know, would like be visibly blind, or like have a, you know, hearing aid, and you just can't see like my blood cells being deformed or anything like that. But at the same time, it does have a disabling effect on my life.
I do identify as disabled, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that I identify as less than anybody else or less capable of anybody else.
Short answer is yes, long answer is it's complicated. It's like some of the time.
I definitely reluctantly also do, but I'd say for me the most disabling part of it would be the stigma of people.
Yes, at this age I do identify as disabled because I'm actually deaf and I have cochlear implants in both ears.
It all kind of made sense, so I feel really validated in that identity. And I think with like disability, the connotations of that word is what you make of it. So yeah.
The interesting thing about being in any way disabled is it's a community everyone can join.
Yes, exactly.
We're open. So, you know, and the way life is, sooner or later you may find yourself as part of a disability community, whether it's through an accident or through genetics or anything. So why not make the world accessible to the people who really need it, because that benefits everyone.
I feel like grief is a big part of being disabled, or rather coming to terms with the fact that you're disabled.
I suppose I do. I think, maybe I feel ambivalent. I think the main thing for me is community. Like, if I belong to the disabled community, if I identify as disabled, as hearing impaired, I belong to that community, and it's a way for me to connect with people like me.
If your brain had a theme song, what would it be? That's a good one. I think it would be, this might be a bit of a throwback, but that Muppet song where it's like mana mana do 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 do.
I have two. They're less literal. There's, I don't know if anyone knows Lonely Accordion by Louis Danto, or Winter Soldier by Sammy Brew. They're both just sort of about loneliness, I suppose, because disability can be quite isolating. Even when you are surrounded by people, you do feel inherently sort of separate.
Immediately what comes to mind is like a monkey just clanging cymbals.
First thing that came to mind, and this was an old joke. There's Limp Bizkit did a song about it, but there's also an old country western song about it. It's like rollin', rollin', rollin'. Keep this wagon rolling.
And like a
Yeah.
especially when I wake up in the morning.
I think one song I found was called You'd Never Know by Blue Eyes. And I think it speaks to like the emotional impact of having chronic illness and disability.
You know the song like, I'm still standing.
Yeah. Elton John, yeah.
Yeah, that.
I am titanium. I know it's old, but yeah. Some time ago I fell down a mountain because I didn't see the rocks. And so I got titanium screws in my leg
I don't know how appropriate it is, but Hot and Cold by Katy Perry definitely feels, accurate. It would be great if she had added a section in that's like also tepid water, lukewarm, occasionally also, but for the most part, that definitely can stick.
Mine is Sweet Disposition by the Temper Trap, because I don't think many people think people with schizophrenia have a sweet disposition. But also I think because it shows you the moments of life and how important reality is.
For me, it's not like a theme song, but more like a theme album. So I was thinking of like the new Abnormal by The Strokes. So you can tell from the title that it's not about being normal. And the songs are really about, well, they're not really about being estranged, more so as they're about finding yourself and finding yourself in others. And I think that's what it means to live with a disability, is this constant journey of trying to search for who you really are.
My theme song would just be ASMR of like birds and the leaves rustling and traffic noise. Before I got my hearing aids, I didn't know that cars made noises.
Really?
Yeah. It's like alive. It's like, and that leaves make noises when you step on them.
Wow.
All that would be my theme song.
That's very poetic.
Are there any unexpected perks to having a disability? The car mobility parking permit.
Yeah, all-day parking's a good one.
Yep.
All-day parking's a good one. Also, it's not so much in Sydney anymore, but it seems to be a general thing because I'm in the US and wherever. Going to amusement parks and skipping the line.
If I have like my lanyard, and sometimes I also have a walking stick, if people visibly see me, if I'm standing in a line to like pay or in the line for the bus, people will give me the way. I think that's a perk.
If I'm having like a boring day where I'm like, I don't have anything to do today, I can not take my meds and I can unleash myself to the world of the internet.
You might have a bit of a different perspective on things as you go through life, which could give you some interesting angles.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think most of it is pretty much the same as anybody else could access.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because of course, the first answer is no. Are you kidding?
Scholarships are a really big one from the University of Sydney and outside sources.
Well, there are to cochlear implants because, as I said, when I take them off, I can't hear a thing. Now, there is a saying, silence is golden, and often it is.
No.
What's the most frustrating thing about having low or no vision? I can tell you good things about it.
There can be good things.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can name two of the most frustrating things. First of all, if there's somebody you really want to find in a crowd, or you want to network with, or you want to get to, or some place that you want to go to, there is a block. It can be much more difficult to do some of the things that you actually want to do, and I guess the main struggle with that is a feeling of suffocated autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is actually relating to sighted people in the way that sighted people properly understand the world. It feels a bit tricky to actually understand, especially in my case, since I don't really know what sight is like. That can be a bit of a stumbling block in the way that I relate to my sighted peers.
The most frustrating thing about it's lack of understanding. People say, well, look, there's your car over there. Didn't you see it? And I said, no. Don't you remember? I'm blind.
Is the hardest part of your disability that it's invisible or that people act like it's imaginary? That's an interesting question.
So imagine that I am sick and I can't take medicine for it. I can't sleep over it. And if you just say that, oh, you don't look sick, just sleep over it and get better tomorrow, just because your broken bone is inside your body, it's inside a cast, the cast is the only thing that's telling people, oh, this person is injured. That's the same as me, that I don't look sick, but I have a lot of broken and not broken things inside me.
I feel like that I'm able to make it not an obvious part of my identity, and that comes with an interesting set of pros and cons. On one hand, I'm not discriminated against as much, but on the other hand, it is more of a suffer in silence type situation, where people who you would consider quite close to you get suddenly quite surprised when your disability becomes visible, when it's usually not visible.
Yeah, it's tricky because you know, obviously epilepsy is purely in here and has nothing outwardly physical, so it's a bit difficult explaining to people that I have to go home and sleep during the day. Yeah.
It's not that people think bipolar itself is imaginary, but they think how hard it is imaginary.
Is the chair full-time, or do you get to clock out sometimes? I think for me, I'm an ambulant wheelchair user, and so that means I can walk with crutches, which I do at home, but it's funny because some people don't realize that not all wheelchair users can do that. One time I went to my church with crutches, and then you could see all their faces drop. And then I was just like, I'm so sorry, it's not a miracle, guys. Educate yourself about disability, its history, and the language around it. And ultimately, it's because anyone can become disabled at any time.